the fundamental thing which we need to understand is what is asset all about, right? The simplest example what I took after doing a lot of research from asset-based income, going back to my favorite or popular author, Robert Kiyosaki, he says that anything puts money in your pocket is asset, which pulls out money is liability, right? That's a fundamental definition which one can think about. Now, with this category, let's understand and analyze different asset-based income, which I have broadly categorized into 8 segments, right? Or 8 categories. For each category, we will do an assessment only restricted on investment returns and risks, right? First is obviously its job. You invest 18 years of minimum education to get some degrees, some qualification, and then you get a job. Now, it might be anywhere based upon the kind of a degree you hold, you get a job. The returns are monthly salary. That's good in a way. Risks are higher you grow, there's a risk, and based upon the domain, based upon the skill set. So it's all skill set driven. Second, these are real estate. The real estate industry has created the highest billionaires and millionaires in the world. Now, this comes in an investment category. So obviously it comes with this risk. You can't buy in thousands and hundreds. It has to be in lakhs and crores. Real estate has high returns. There are many ways in real estate. You own a property, give it on a rent, which creates a monthly cash flow, or you buy a land or a property and sell it off after a few years, and that calls a capital gain. Now, risks are relative because it's an investment-based asset, so it has to come with risk. You can't avoid risk in a real estate. Now, third is paper assets. So, paper assets has many things here. The popular one, which has been much talked about in 2020, is Bitcoin. These are digital currencies. FDRD are the safest asset because it is, if you are investing in a fixed or a recurring with government aided, then obviously based upon your investment, the returns are very, very low. The risks are absolutely very low here, right? Now, stocks depends upon how much money you invest and where you invest, what kind of quality of information you have about it. Even at times, you may not have the information. You ended up buying a stock which can boom, like a sort of a lottery, not a right word to use, coming from an investment banking background for more than 10 years. But this is how it is. You invest in a particular company which is a booming. Now, if all luck favors, it works for you. And the same, it doesn't work, the risks are very high as well. So, but a trader like Warren Buffett, take an example, he's a billionaire creating paper asset out of stocks because they know the art of where to trade, when to trade. It's not the art, it's more of a science if you study this industry, because you have to understand the domain which is growing, what are they planning, their balance sheet. So it requires a study in this field to really monetize this. Now, this industry grows. The stocks, this has created a maximum wealth out of in the world. It works, but you don't want to take a risk that when market goes up, your heartbeat, you're happy, and market comes down, your heartbeat is missing a beat. You don't want to do that, but there's a money. So the safest ways to do is invest using a fund managers. Now, what are these fund managers? These are well qualified, reputed companies which will help you to diversify your funds with the bare minimum guaranteed returns. Now, it may not be 5-6%, it may be little bit more in double digit, provided you stay some time in the market for a longer period of time. Mutual fund, they have systematic plan which you can work upon based upon the ability of money you are willing to invest. The policy, these are more of a term policy. If you invest every year, if you die, you make money, otherwise you don't. But I would suggest one to have, because that's an investment for your family as a backup, right? Now, endowment, there are multiple flavors again. But it comes with lock-in period. So when you talk about investment, it's about how much you want. The returns are based upon the policy. It might give you anything about 4 to 8%, anywhere in between, as per the IRDA. Then the risks are very low, right? As long as you invest with the right company. Now, coming to the fourth category is commodities. Now, commodities is a very broad category where one commodity is the gold and silver. They are mostly capital gain. You buy, after a point you sell it, you make money. Now, machineries are not a capital gain as such, but you can rent it, you can build a business with, or you can get into buying a taxi, renting it out, buying any sort of a machineries, tractors or something. JCB is one of the hot market. So these are commodities which you own it and you rent it or you sell it after a point in time, you make money. Now, fifth is very niche, IP rights. IP rights means patents. The highest IP rights has been done in pharma industry. The next to it is IT invention, in terms of filing patents and figuring out new dimension and new things. And much talked about is also in production industry. Production, when you talk about a song or a books or a movie, the guy who sang in that movie doesn't make much money compared to the guy who is a producer, right? Books, Harry Potter, J.K. Rowling is a billionaire because of the books she has written. Obviously, she has to have that skill to write through the entire chapters and create a massive audience. Now, movie, I categorize as this industry has picked up in last 2-3 decades. Now, if you see, the king of Bollywood, Shah Rukh Khan, entered this industry in sometime in 1980s, but it took 15 years to get into production of Red Chillies, right? Somewhere in start of 2000. But his co-actor debutant Anushka Sharma, who got into this industry within 5 years, she became a producer, right? So now, because people understood that other than money and fame, you need to think about the longevity of asset-based. Sixth, retirement pension. Now, I want to touch about it only for the fact that there are two important things here. One is, a part of your basic expenditure goes into your pension, where a company also pays X amount, you also pay X amount, and it comes as a one-time bulk money. And before 2010, there also used to be a retirement pension where every month on month after you retire, you used to get this money. And that is being stopped right now. And unfortunate part is, majority of our generation after 2000, they don't understand the value of having a cash inflow on a monthly basis, right? Which is inflation proof again. Now, coming to business. Now, business is a bit tricky when you call it because the size of the business, the scale about the business keeps varying. One is self-employed, you run a kirana shop, you also run a smaller segment of business where the number of customers or number of employees are less than hundreds and 200s. The problem is self-employed is you might make money, you are rich, but you are not wealthy. And your mind is always thinking about how I can make more money or how to maintain my business, how I can look into the employees. Whereas the B quadrant business is something you build business for a few years, and based upon what you did, based upon your leadership, based upon the size of the business, B quadrant is typically more than 500 employees in your organization. Now, once you build a right system and process, you even walk away out of that also, you are a very successful tycoon, right? This has created again a lot of multi-millionaires and billionaires. Talking about the last interesting topic, which is digital platform economy. Now, digital platform economy, everybody knows about it, but the only challenge is many people are consumer or they feed into the digital media, but some people are creators, right? If you talk about investment, they are very negligible. If you are talking about most of the digital platform economy, Let's talk about media content. Media content is more of your Instagram, your Facebook, your YouTube, where you are generating media, and based upon the end result is the audience you find, you monetize using ads, because the entire industry works on advertisement, right? E-commerce is not running on advertisement, but it's a buying and selling. It's a trade driven, like eBay, Flipkart. This again has created a lot of millionaires and billionaires. The only challenge here is you need to create a brand, you need to create a company, system, process. Only thing what you are not doing against your B quadrant business is you really don't need 500 employees. You might be in a B quadrant using an e-commerce, but so the investment drops down massively. The returns are very high. The risks are very low. It takes time. Investment is what I would call it as. Aggregatory business model, very upcoming last 5-6 years or decade. Ola, Uber, Airbnb, all these are aggregator, where you are developing a community of all these users, and they can, like Ola drivers, are not the employees, rather they are partners. So you are developing a community of these partners who in turn drive customers, right? Neither they own customers, neither they own the drivers, right? Now, micro entrepreneurship is something which I would prefer any day if I have to put my hands into running a business, is because it's a combination of everything. You are an entrepreneur, yes. Do you own the platform? No. Do you own the headache? No. Do you have a lot of investment? No. Do you have returns very high, provided you build a business on a time-tested model? For a long period of time, if you develop the skills, competency, put your time, develop B2B, B2C. So this gives you opportunity to not only find clients, that is B2C, it also gives you opportunity to create micro entrepreneurs, that is B2B. So it's a combination of both. Now, when you talk about this industry, it is not a consumer driven or a business driven, it is a prosumer driven, which means you are a consumer and a business owner. Hence the risks are negligible, because you don't own a platform, neither you share profit there. Yeah, you share profit there in the based upon the business you develop, and only on there's a profit sharing model, there's a returns, right? Now, if you pick up any of this asset-based income, you have to be mindful about investment returns and risk. You have to understand there is something called you put your time investment versus your money investment. Now, money investment comes up with risk, that is I quadrant business. Now, time investment business, most of the businesses out there comes up with time investment plus money investment. Now, that takes a lot of effort. Now, if I have to talk about building an asset-based income, I would any day prefer any of the model where I can either invest my time or money for a short period of time so that I can keep generating recurring cash flows, right? So after you pick any of this asset-based income, you have to consider what sort of income you want to generate. You want to generate a capital gain, which means you buy and sell, you make profit. Buy and sell. Buy a land, sell it for a higher, or buy product, make profit. Number one. Number two is a cash flow. You build a business for a few years, and or you buy a property for and you turn a rent. Every month you make money, and that is a sort of a thought process I would any day recommend to consider when it comes about asset-based income.